Perfection is the greatest killer of progress. It's the invisible wall between intention and action. The reason ideas stay in notebooks, projects stay unfinished, and dreams stay dreams. We wait for the perfect plan, the perfect time, the perfect feeling, and while we wait, momentum dies. That's why one of the simplest, most effective principles that you can ever apply to your life is something called the 2-minute rule. The rule is very simple. If it takes less than 2 minutes to start now. Because excellence isn't built in great leaps, it's built in small beginnings repeated with consistency. I'm your host, Isaac, and today on the Standards of Excellence podcast, we're talking about how momentum beats perfection, and how 2 minutes of action can completely change the trajectory of your goals, habits, and mindset. Perfection looks noble on the surface. It sounds like high standards, like discipline, like care. But underneath it, perfection is fear wearing a disguise. It's the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough. Perfection tells you to wait until everything is just right. But just right never arrives. That's the trap. Perfection paralyzes progress because it demands that your first step look like the finish line. The truth is, progress is always imperfect. It's messy, awkward, full of mistakes and missteps, but that's where the true growth lives. The 2-minute rule cuts through all that noise. It says, forget the finish line, just start moving. Because once you start, everything else gets easier. Psychologists call it activation energy, the mental resistance that stands between you and the first step. It's not the work that's hard, it's starting the work. Once you begin, the brain starts releasing dopamine, which builds momentum and focus. That's why starting small matters. You don't need to commit to a marathon. You just need to put on your shoes and step outside. You don't need to clean the entire kitchen, just wash one plate. You don't need to write a full chapter. Just open the document and type the first sentence. 2 minutes of action breaks the seal. And once you're in motion, it's far easier to keep going than it was to begin. Momentum is self-perpetuating, but it only exists after you start. There's a story about a writer who battled procrastination for years. He'd wait for inspiration, for the perfect mood, for the perfect silence, and he rarely ever found those, therefore he rarely ever wrote. Then one day, he made a deal with himself. I only have to write for 2 minutes. He'd set up a timer, open his notebook, and start writing. Most days, he went far beyond those 2 minutes. But on the days he didn't, he still won, because he kept the habit alive. Within a year, he had written more in 12 months than he had in the previous 5 years combined. The secret wasn't discipline alone, it was removing friction, lowering the barrier to start. The 2-minute rule doesn't just create movement, it creates identity. You stop saying, I want to be a writer, and you start saying, I write. Momentum rewires your brain for who you believe you are. There's a myth that motivation leads to action. It's actually the opposite. Action leads to motivation. Waiting to feel ready is like waiting for calm seas before learning to sail. Momentum creates the energy that you were waiting for. That's why 2 minutes can change your entire day. It's not the size of the action, it's the direction. Small wins build confidence. Confidence builds momentum. And momentum builds excellence. So stop trying to build perfect habits, build doable ones. The first 2 minutes of any task are the gateway to the next 2 hours. If you can master that window, you can master nearly anything. Momentum is the psychological equivalent of gravity. Once you're in motion, you stay in motion. Neuroscience calls this the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain naturally wants to finish what it starts. When you begin a task, your mind opens a mental loop. Leaving it incomplete creates tension, and that tension pulls you back to finish it. But if you can start, even for 2 minutes, your brain will often take care of the rest. This is how mastery is built, not through random bursts of brilliance, but through consistent, tiny beginnings. Each start strengthens your identity. Each completion builds your integrity. That's the invisible power of momentum. It turns effort into habit, and it turns habit into character. So how do you apply the 2-minute rule to your own life? Let's look at a few action steps. Step 1, lower the barrier. Shrink the task until it feels too small to resist. Don't aim to work out for an hour. Aim to change into your gym clothes. Don't aim to meditate for 20 minutes. Aim to sit quietly for 2. Step 2, build the chain. Once you've started, ask yourself, what's the next step? Starting is the key, but once momentum is rolling, let it carry you naturally. Step 3, celebrate the start, not the finish. We're all guilty of this. Reward yourself for initiating, not completing. Why? Because beginnings build consistency, and consistency builds success. When you focus on starting instead of finishing, you stop fearing imperfection, and perfection quietly loses its hold on you. The 2-minute rule that we're discussing isn't just about productivity, it's about life. Every big transformation begins with one small act of courage. 2 minutes to make the call, 2 minutes to start the workout, 2 minutes to reach out, to write, to begin. Those tiny decisions compound into identity. You become a person who acts rather than a person who waits. And that shift from hesitation to momentum, that changes everything. Perfection demands flawless performance. Excellence rewards consistent movement. Choose excellence. Choose motion. Don't wait for ideal conditions. Start now, even if it's small. Because the 2-minute action you take today might just be the start of something extraordinary tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the Standards of Excellence podcast. If today's message spoke to you, share it with someone who's waiting for the perfect moment to begin, and remind them that starting is the perfect moment. Until next time, pursue excellence, stop pushing off the things that will better your life, and make today matter.